The other day, I was up in Charter Hill on one of those big sky bridges, and when I was up there, I looked around and thought to myself, is there anywhere in Night City that supports someone in a wheelchair? Because it's a cyberpunk dystopia, and generally those don't favor people. Or like you get robot legs, I don't know. So what I wanted to do was to go all throughout Night City, stop in each of the sub-districts at a location. And at each of these locations, what I wanted to do was to stop and look at the ground. Just see how accessible is this for someone who's actually in a wheelchair. Because Night City turns out actually has multiple people in a wheelchair. You'll get to meet them later, no spoilers. So let's go to our first stop, the Sunset Motel out in the Badlands. If you somehow find yourself in the middle of nowhere, what's gonna be your main obstacle in a wheelchair? It's mostly going to be the ground, like right here. You can see how it transitions from pavement into this bumpy, rocky shit. That's obviously not gonna be fun to go around. I mean, that one seems like it's pretty common sense. Now, when you get up to the motel, it's mostly alright, but I don't think you can get up to the bar up top. That's gonna be a disservice to people. They should have a little elevator. Let them be alcoholics too. It's what God wanted. What? There are some parts of this, like the mechanic shop, where you do see they have a few little corrugated sheets of metal here. For those, I mean, I'm sure it's not horrible to get up there, but I think as soon as you get into this place, you see some kind of crumpled up carpet, and it's like, guys, come on. Now you can just roll in through the garage, because I mean, it's a mechanic shop. Just things rolling in and out kind of makes sense for them. Oh yeah, the bus stop out here. There's a lip to it with the curb. You probably don't want to have to jump that all the time, so there's another barrier. Now, because I forgot to talk about this earlier, I need to mention the ability to pop a curb. This is something that you do need upper body strength to be able to do. Essentially, you're gonna do a little wheelie and pop up, and then you gotta roll the back part over. That's not really something that's very safe. If you're someone who's young, if you're someone who's old, then you're not gonna want to be doing that. So like this, it's gonna be hard to get around. And also stairs. I mean, stairs are the real enemy here. Now, with that out of the way, what we're gonna do is we're going to head down the road into Rancho Coronado. This is a kind of suburban area. It was built for factory workers as kind of a corporate town. For our landmark here, what we're going to be centering ourselves around is this big Ferris wheel here. I don't know if you've ever walked by it and actually thought, I'm gonna stare at the ground. But if you do, and you look at the block right behind it, you're actually gonna find something really interesting, because there's fucking wheelchair ramps. This is something that I find very odd. When we go throughout this area, we mostly find them concentrated around a few businesses. Now, there's some sidewalks to homes that have them, which also have these little like ramps with like little 1-inch bumps on them. Feel like it's, it's okay enough, but it's not great. But it's like, hey, it's something, I guess. It might be potentially newer construction. You look, there's a bit of different textures on some of these blocks. Could be somewhere they did dig it up. That could also just be my game. It's Cyberpunk, so I think it's utility work, personally. It's more fun to say it's utility work anyways. With that out of the way, let's actually now go to the district right next door. It has the big manufacturing parts of Night City within it. This is Arroyo. We're going to be stopping at a motel, because if you look at room 031, you will find this man, Pedro. And Pedro, he's our first wheelchair user. Why is someone in a wheelchair in Night City? It's because he has ALS. His employer did fire him, but what's more important is you look outside and you see how he had to make this makeshift ramp. Now, this actual one that he put in, it is a thing you see in the real world. I don't exactly understand the cardboard. I don't really think that's gonna hold his weight, but let's keep going outside of this motel, because if you look here, and here, and if you're someone who's paranoid about your employer finding you and you try and hide in an inconspicuous place, you might think, hey, there aren't many people who use a wheelchair in this city. They would kind of look for that. I don't know. He's a smart guy though, so who knows? Anyways, our next part. We're moving Next, from Arroyo over to Pacifica. It's divided into two parts. The southern part is what we're going to be looking at first, and here you're going to find a lot of residential places. Now, there is a rule with residential buildings where if it has an elevator, you do need all the places to be accessible, but if there's no elevator, then you don't. This is an American thing. I don't know how it is for other countries, and also Cyberpunk is a different timeline. That being said, there's not really access here. Most of the ground, I think it's also gonna be kind of littered with shit, and you're gonna have to move around a bunch of that. I mean, stairs are the real enemy here. But if we actually look over at the mall, we do find something interesting because they have these big ramps on the side. Now, if we compare them to the actual angles that we're supposed to use, for every 12 inches you go across, you go 1 inch up. This is pretty much a standard across the world. Like, everyone who has wheelchair ramps recommends this ratio. These are gonna be a much higher ratio for that. It's not really gonna work. But since we're talking about a little bit of tourist infrastructure here that does have something to it, let's go up to, I believe, Betty's? I have dyslexia. So when you get to the parking here, you're gonna notice there's a few curbs that you can access if you're in a wheelchair, but you actually look at how you get in the hotel, steps. That's the issue. So I think these curbs, they're a lot more likely to be for people with luggage or something, taking it out of the car, the other people run it. I don't really think they intend for people in wheelchairs to be showing up. If it benefits them, it benefits them. That is actually a real thing. I believe it's called the curb cut effect, where installing these curb cuts for people actually has benefits for others that were not intended. It's just why it's a good practice to have them in your districts. Guys, come on. It's just gonna make your logistics easier, and you save money on concrete. Think about it from your greedy ass perspectives. Let me get more wine. I think what I want to actually do is take a little bit of a detour outside of Night City, and we're going to be stopping in goddamn Dogtown. Now, Dogtown, it's a whole separate entity, like politically and shit. If you look at the streets, you're not gonna want to be in a wheelchair here. It's very rough, it's very beat up, there's not the infrastructure for it at all, which is why it is very, very interesting that when you go into the Heavy Hearts Club, on the second floor, you will find people in wheelchairs. These are people who have like gold arms and everything. Let's think about how they got in here. If you look outside at the front, that's a lot of steps. And where's the only part with the ramp? Right to the side, next to all the plants. Let's say you actually make it in the place. The dance floor, it's raised, there's no ramp. How are you supposed to fucking boogie? So, wait, why are they on the second floor then? Well, what I think is happening is these people have money. You notice they all have another person with them. Am I saying that their friend or whoever has lifted them up here? Yes, entirely. With these rich people in wheelchairs in mind, I want to go right across to the Glen. Now, the Glen, it was quite a rough area, but City Hall, the government of Night City, has actually gone in there to try and do some improvements to it. We are going to be specifically looking at the City Hall of Night City. When it's a city name in the city, is it Night City City Hall? I don't know. But what I do know is when you go up front, it's like a big drop in for a curb, and then you get up there and there's massive stairs. They clearly don't want you here. How is some little old grandma going to be able to complain? You know, you clearly hate grandmas is what I thought. That's what I thought until I went around to the side and I actually saw, oh wait, it's totally flat over here. And there is an accessible goddamn door. They did it. They actually left it in. I can't believe it. Now, you do have to enter through a side door. It does look like it's someone's office, and I don't know if you're actually going to be allowed in there, but hey, maybe. Seems like it might work. So let's go right next door to Wellspring. Wellspring in game is described as the middle class area. It's for the average Night City citizen. So for this area, where we visited is actually this massive outdoor mall on the waterfront. You know, I don't think there's a lot of the game that actually takes place down here. It's quite interesting. If you go along, there's a lot of shops for it. There's fashion, there's guns, there's drugs, there's food, there's everything you could want in Night City in one spot. And you can roll right up to the side and you can get a good view of everything as well. Line of sight is an important thing for wheelchair users. There was a court case that actually decided this, and that's why in all the stadiums you see those wheelchair seats where they can actually see. Now, if we go along this, it might seem, you know, very flat, very accessible at first, but if we go to either end of it, it's entirely encased by stairs. If we go down these tunnels, it ends in more stairs. These tunnels I love, though, by the way. Let me be impressed by the middle class LED squares. But if you somehow make it over to downtown and you somehow pop one curb to get up into these pedestrian bridges all up above, then you're actually rolling good here. There's a lot of accessible things if you're already up here. You have food, you have drugs, you have doctors, you have lawyers, you have everything up here. The big challenge is you need to actually get up here. You do need to pop a curb, or you need to live somewhere where you can take the elevator up. But in Night City, that's very iffy, and a lot of buildings actually, they don't connect in that way where you would think they might. Now, when you go down a few of these tunnels though, there are some parts of it where you have these little bumps that you will need to be able to get over, and that's kind of very odd because they seem entirely out of place and like you don't need them here. They just seem like someone just slapped them down because, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe it's a cost-cutting measure. I don't really know. It's really odd up here, but I think that covers downtown for me. And where are we going next? We're actually gonna go across the way, and we are going to stop in Kabuki. Now, you might think I would go to the big Kabuki market, but no. Instead, we are going to go all the way up this super fucking long boulevard. Get a nice view of Night City to the side. But what's this when we get up top? This is our second wheelchair user in Night City. This man, he was an ex-Tiger Claw man, but every time you run by, he compliments your fashion. He's good in my book. He's chosen a very interesting spot to open up his stand because on the other side, it's all stairs. I don't know what this man does, but he has to wheel up this entire thing every day, and look how slick it is. In the rain, something like this is gonna be horrible to get up, unless you got super good traction. I mean, the guy needs to save up for a fucking street level shop. I don't even know where he lives, because when you go down, you have to hop over multiple curbs, which does bring me to these little ad ramps you've probably seen all around Night City, and you might be thinking it's good enough, but remember, it's way higher than the ratio that you need for these, and you're probably gonna tip, honestly, if you try to go over it. Also, on the boulevard, there appears to be gang fights every day, like a group of Tiger Claws assaults the place, so maybe that's actually where he came from. Maybe he was doing that and he got shot, and he just rolled on up there, and he just stays there all the time now. Don't know. But, you know, if we go a little bit down the road, and we go over to Misty's and that market over there in Little China, we actually meet our third wheelchair user in Night City. Now this man, look at how he rizzes him up. Look at his heels. This man does not let a disability stop him at all. And also, look at his arms. That man has monster fucking mechanical arms. So it does potentially mean he could hop out, pick stuff up, and move around easier to get up some stuff. Now, when we look through the market, it's relatively flat, but it's gonna be a bit bumpy. So, you know, you probably wanna take it slow, because a texture like that, it's gonna really mess you up over time, actually. And if we go to the right of the market, where there's a few gang members, you actually do have a part where it has a few ramps. But if you look to the right, there are stairs. I don't really know who this is meant for. Now, if you go all the way around the block of it, you do come to another part where you can access the backside of the market without having to go up any stairs or anything. So the guy does have quite a bit of activities. Honestly, there's like everything you could want there. This is honestly one of the smartest places to be, if I had to say. Also, sometimes the guy's standing and he looks totally different. Next, we're gonna go north to Arasaka Waterfront. This is Arasaka, they're the biggest corporation, they are massive. There's key story missions here at Konpeki Plaza. That's actually gonna be the spot we're gonna be taking a look at. And I'm not really surprised that Arasaka didn't really consider making this accessible. I think they're a company where they expect your legs to be functioning. For some reason, they also built this whole little garden thing, which would be lovely to go through. But no, they can't add a little ramp. They can't add a little section in these little restaurants on the side, these little bars. Can you add a little ramp to them? No, that's too fucking much. That's too low class. But then there are rich people with wheelchairs, so it's like, what the fuck is going on here? That is gonna bring us to the district right next door, and it's the other big industrial area of Night City. This is Northside. We're going to be going up to this waterfront market. This one is very, very, very unique because it's the only area in the game, I think, that all of the shops actually have little curb ramps for. I don't know why these shops do that. When you get in there though, for a lot of them, you can't get up to the second floor. It just doesn't seem like it really makes that much sense for people. I don't really understand why they're doing it in this area. But let's say you want to go somewhere else. Let's say you want to spend a bit of money. You want to be a bit of a tourist here. You're going to go to Japantown next. Now, with Jig Jig Street, you know, it's YouTube and I can't show things, so I'm obviously going to be looking down as this is a red light district, to say the least. It's more of the same. You're not really going to get access to a lot of places. A lot of shops have curbs. A lot of shops don't have curbs. You can't even go in this seedy alley and easily turn around. With that out of the way, let's hop on over to North Oak. This one's actually going to be a quite unique case because this is where the top of the elite ladder live. If you live out here, you just have something built for you. You do not need the same kind of standards as everyone else. This isn't really relevant to you. So with that, we're going to Charter Hill.
And what we're going to be looking at is this sky bridge right up here, because this is actually what inspired me to look into this. As you can see, it's probably not accessible with all these stairs. And you would think, okay, there's a building right next door. Maybe there's some kind of elevator up.
But when you go up, there's no elevator. I don't know why. It looks like it should connect. That's the weird thing about Night City. Also, you would think, okay, here's the metro on the other end. That makes perfect sense. I'll just have to ride the metro in here. It's a big detour, it sucks ass, but it's doable, right? Well, let's look at all the metro stops real quick. Inaccessible. You get the idea. Yeah, what does this actually mean though? To me, this means as you move up the corporate ladder, it really doesn't matter what they think of you. You are not someone they care about. But you know what I do know? I know that I just want to show this one little alley for Corporate Plaza as our next spot. Now, Corporate Plaza, that's where all the big companies are. You think, oh, you could show the entrances. You could show how it's all flat and how you can just roll up potentially. And I could. But I don't really think that's the point of this area. Because I think this simple ramp having stairs in it is the point of this area. This isn't an area where you needed to do that. You could have easily just paved one thing so people could access it. There's not really a point to adding these stairs other than just, we do not care about you actually. We don't think about you. You're not in our mind. But that just leaves one area then. One that in game is described as one of the worst and poorest areas actually. It's Vista del Rey. You go here, you expect crime everywhere, you expect horrible things, but this is odd. That doesn't look bad. In fact, let's look at the road here. Ooh, nice. Look at that fancy pattern. Look at the sidewalks. And look at the corners of these sidewalks. Every intersection, they're actually filled with these. This entire district is filled with them. When we look at the borders of it and the edges, there are a few parts that stick out into other districts, and you might think that's a little weird until you see this old map of Cyberpunk. I think it's in the year 2045. Now with this, you can see that the areas that still have ramps are actually going to be Little China and Old Japantown. I don't know what that really means, but I do actually think it has something to do with the pavement here. And you'll notice how it's this yellow block style that's tactile. This, I think, is meant to be something for people who have vision impairments. It was invented in Japan in the 1960s, and the two countries that have it most now are Japan and China. It does stop right before curb ramps, so you know, that is interesting there. It could be to let people know, hey, it's gonna change. I don't know why this district is actually filled with these. Could potentially be a failed attempted gentrification. It could be an ongoing attempted gentrification. There's some in-game text that actually hint at it. I don't really know. But what I do know is that these tactile bumps would be horrible if you're in a wheelchair. As you roll over these are going to be absolutely wrecking your spine all the time. All the time. Night City would suck if you're in a wheelchair. You guys should go out and look at your own sidewalks and your own ramps and things and see that, hey man, maybe this should be improved for people. Maybe if my grandma was in a wheelchair, maybe if my mom was in a wheelchair, I'd want to help them out. That'd be cool. Hopefully you guys liked the video. I got a lot more of these cooking, but I am in a lot of debt. So if anyone feels like helping me erase all that debt, that would be immensely appreciated. So that way I can get to making these big videos and squeezing the money from the corporations and not you. Also, so that way debt collectors don't take all my shit.